Game 3 here now, and we had a pretty quick Game 2 there as RFIM just stomped Tree. Game 1 took a while as Tree eventually came through with the Berserker pick, and that's why we see him banned out here. But the Tempest Keeper combination here from Legion last game was just way too powerful. They just pushed straight through the base and won in about 22 minutes, so well played to them, and now we've got a nice great Game 3. Bans so far here are Warbeast, Berserker, Ophelia, and Keeper of the Forest. Fitzball not wanting his own strat to be used against him, so taking the Keeper out of the pool. Berserker obviously still a remnant from Game 1 where he was awfully powerful. Warbeast and Ophelia banned out, as Warbeast obviously very strong suicide, and Ophelia removed because of her Dwunkle potential. So nothing too shocking here in the bans, a little more targeted to the previous games in this series. So you might be going, oh, that's a little weird, but it is in fact sensible if you watch the other two. First two picks here from Tree are Wretched Hag and Ravener, two strong heroes of course, and Hag very versatile, so I can never argue with a Hag pickup. She fits pretty much every lineup. She can carry, she can burst, she can gank, she can initiate if you really need her to. She's versatile, difficult to catch, so I like that addition there. Ravener gets the second pick here, just like in Game 1, as it looks like Tree has moved away from their NG Luna combination, and both Game 1 and Game 2 choosing those two heroes within the first picking stage. So I think that probably wasn't a great idea, picking your supports up that early and being like, oh, I don't want to, you know, pick up farming heroes earlier than this for some reason. I mean, I feel like support's a little more interchangeable. They're better to fit around your farming heroes than the other way around, so perhaps a bit of an issue there with the drafts, but that's not going to be the case here. They do final pick the Engineer in this first picking to the stage. Can't argue with that. Very, very strong support. And he will fit this Legion team well, as it'll lock people down a little bit for Raven Hag. So a Ravener NG, a very, very powerful mid lane as well. So hopefully we'll see the Hag in the short lane, as I do like that a little bit better. Suicide wouldn't be bad if they decide to pick up another short laner, but I don't like the whole, you know, Rav short lane, not a good idea. Pesty short lane, not a good idea, although Pestilence is on the other team, so we'll see. But Hellborn team picking up Pestilence, Tempest, and Bubbles, so some good synergy there between Tempest and Bubbles. Decent push as well, strong initiation from Pestilence, lacking a little bit of carry, as Pesty will provide some damage. Bubbles a bit of a more mid-game hero, doesn't do too much towards the end, so hopefully they'll pick another short laner. They played Pesty short lane in the first game, it did not work. They played a mid in the second game, it worked much better, so hopefully they'll learn from that and go, okay, Pesty mid, Bubbles suicide, Tempest in the jungle, and we're looking for a short laner and a support here. Lots of support options off on the board. And they have the beginnings of a very strong lineup here. Lots of lockdown, and with some damage they can add some strong ability. I think another ganker paired with Pestilence, perhaps Dampier is available. That would be very good. We'll see what else is up. Pyromancer, Rhapsody, Torture, something else to pair with Pesty in middle lane is certainly to be expected, I think. Bans are coming out here. So far we have Corrupted Disciple, Grinix, and Kraken. So Fusion taking out CD and Kraken, and Fitzville taking out Grinix. So figuring, oh, we have our Suicide already, I assume, in Bubbles, and they may or may not be running Hag Suicide. Let's get rid of the Grinix so that they don't really have the option. We'll force them to run the Suicide Hag, and that's probably a good idea, as Hag Suicide is still very powerful, but I think I do slightly prefer her in that carry role if you're going to pick it up. Last two bans now, that's Kraken and Cersei. So Kraken we discussed a little bit, but obviously versatile hero, fits in pretty much any lane, so he would fit the lineup here on Legion very well. Another team fight ultimate, and a strong lane with NG if they decide to do the Kraken NG into the Kraken Rav or whatever. As I assume we're going to see a second support here from Tree. They've done second supports in the first two games, so Parasite is available, and they could choose to pick that up, but it would not fit their MO. Anyway, Cersei last ban, as once again I think Fitzbell figuring they're looking for a second support, do not want to give them that powerful hero, especially with the Tempest in the game. If Cersei just sits off to the side and channels Tempest while he's channeling his ulti, he can respond with a counter ultimate, and that can very often turn fights. Especially because people, you know, group up, the opposing team will group up inside of the Tempest ultimate, your first one, in order to do damage. So you take the Tempest ultimate and then you just re-ultimate on top of them because they're all grouped up. So I've seen it before, it worked very well. So taking Cersei out, certainly a very understandable and sensible ban. Sorry, not Tree banned that. That makes less sense. I guess Hellborn are still looking for a support, so it makes sense from that. So I went through a whole reasoning there, and it was just silly. They do go with the Aluna pickup, but let's go through the rest of the bans here. From Hellborn's side, in fact, Moon Queen and Sandwraith being taken out. So they take out the Grinix, the Suicide, and a couple of short laners here. I hope that doesn't mean that they have the Pesty short lane. It might mean it's a DM short lane, which I don't actually dislike here, for reasons I'll get into in a second. But Aluna is the first pick here for our tree, as they once again have that NG Aluna combination. I don't know why they're so enamored with this. We'll see what they choose to do with it. I still think the tri-lane potential for those three is extremely strong. They haven't done it yet. They've done dual lanes in both games, but which I don't dislike either. I think that's also the better way to counter a jungler if you're running a second support is to go with a dual lane, because you will pretty much win the tri-lane if you're going up against a jungler, because the other team can't really run a tri-lane. They can run a pseudo tri-lane, but not an actual one. So then, so you win the tri-lane, but then the other two lanes are much more up in the air, and if you lose them, which you can certainly do easier if they're both singles, 1 versus 1s, then you have a much better chance of losing the laning phase because you're already at a disadvantage to the jungler. Anyway, TDL will be the last pick here. I like that decision, so this is turned into a Suicide Hag, and that's fine. But TDL giving them some more late game, and that's probably necessary because Hellborn team isn't too focused on the late game. They are a bit more of a mid-game team. They can go late if they need to and if they get some strong farm, but certainly with a TDL pickup on Legion, their late game is much, much better. But the reason I like the Drunken Master in this situation, because even though he's not really a hard carry, DM and Pestilence is an extremely powerful combination. They both have strong stuns. More importantly, Drunken Master puts out a ton of physical damage, and Pestilence, obviously with the bugs, stops all this armor. So bugs on somebody, and then Drunken Master will like two-shot them. And it's so powerful. We've seen it quite often, and it's been just crazy awesome. So we'll see how it does. Catlamane is on the DM right now, and Masera's on the Pesty, so I'm thinking this is going to end up being a Suicide Bubble, short lane Pestilence, and Drunken Master in the middle. I hope that turns into a Master of Arms in the dual lane and mid, because I suspect we're going to see a dual mid from Legion, as they've just consistently run that sort of situation, which would leave Pesty top solo against the Wretched Hag. He should be fine in that lane. And then Bubbles Suicide against TDL, and I would guess Aluna. I think Rav NG is a better combination than Rav Aluna, but we'll see. A little more burst damage from Aluna, but Ravener, since he doesn't have as much burst, I think he prefers the slow from NG. It allows him to get a few more auto attacks in and end up doing more damage to a hero. Anyway, the other option, of course, they could run the Pesty with the Master, just because DM is a fairly strong defensive mid laner because he has the stagger backwards and just the general tankiness. So certainly would be less of a risk, I guess, because it's unlikely he would die to that lane, and that would allow Pesty to win his top lane a little bit harder, because Pesty versus Hag, there's a reasonable chance Hag could win that with the HoN. He shouldn't, but he could. Up top, looking like it's a potential class. Marcus Moy already in his own jungle, so 4 heroes here from the Legion going up top, but 5 from the Hellborn. Of course, Tempa's not too valuable of a 1 thanks to Glacial Blast not being leveled, but DM looking for an initiation here. Hag blinks away, does not get the jump there, and they are going to block this camp. So no rev wards right now on the Hellborn team, and Legion are going to get the hell out of there, blocking this left hard camp. A bit of a waste. It's going to annoy Tempest slightly, but it's not really going to be a big-ass deal. They still have a pole camp available, and Tempest can certainly farm these 3 camps to his heart's content, so not really the biggest deal, I don't think, at that point, but whatever. We'll see how it affects things. This will be Marcus Moy on bot, no surprise, Ravener mid, and it looks like it's going to be dual lane Rav NG. Up top it's going to be a Suicide Hag and a Luna in the bot, so that makes tons of sense, and it was fairly easy to call. In the mid, it is looking like it's going to be a solo Drunken, so Tempest is in the jungle, Pesty up top with a babysit Master of Arms. I don't mind that either. Master will be able to zone out Hag fairly effectively, and make sure Pesty gets free farm, which he will be able to use to great effect. So Hellborn having really 2 possible situations, just depending on whether they want to send the Master mid or bot. Top. They do choose to send him top, and so I feel pretty good about calling the lanes there. Hag up top, gonna take some damage here as Master's coming in from the side, and she's like, I don't have to blink away at this point. Take the shard shot as well, and lots of auto attacks here, just trying to run away, but gonna eat some damage as a result. She has brought plenty of regen, 3 tangos and 1 health pot. Master not the best zoning support really, so she should be alright here, especially with that and the blink. Impulse stun, gonna be there. And she tried to blink, but it's not gonna be successful. Gonna blink in the trees. And she's now having some issues staying here. Will be able to be spotted. Blink not available yet. There's the charge shot and the impale, so she's in not trouble anymore because she has the blink. They went a little too early. If they'd waited a couple of seconds, they might have been able to kill her. Now forced to pop a health pot, and she's losing regen very rapidly. Master potting up himself with the mana, and we'll have it knocked off as Hag is in the woods once again. We'll get harassed out pretty heavily here. And she may be completely backed off this lane. She is now out of regen, last tango being used. Obviously the blink, you know, very helpful to keeping her alive, but with no more regen, she's in a bit of trouble. Guys are just taking CS, and Master's like, I'm going to keep this up. I'm not interested in getting CS of my own or getting experience. I'm going to keep messing with you. Now she's finally in the right side. Meanwhile, Hop on bottom and missing stuff, as he's going to get jumped by TDL and Aluna. Dark Blade's going in there. Will silence prevent anything from the shell serve. Power throws just enough, and the last auto attack is there. So boots from TDL paying off. And she has strong farm as well now, 470 gold per minute thanks to a 12 and 5 start. Bubbles down here only at 1 and 1, so suffering pretty hard. In middle we have Ravener doing even better at 16 and 4. Drunken is 7 and 0, so not doing the worst. Gonna need a Kegstone there. On the ball lightning, and the Storm Blades in the turret, so he's in some trouble. Pushes Ravener away, but gonna drop. So just too much damage there, as the Rav and Engineer lane is way too powerful. So good start here for Legion so far, taking a 2-0 hero kill lead, and Hag, forced to get completely off his lane, is level 2. Will go to the shop and get some mana and health. That's level 4. Moa's still level 1. He's just been so focused on getting this Hag out of lane, and it's definitely worth it, as Hag is at 1 and 0 compared to Pesty's 18 and 11. Master once again just being like, yeah, you're my bitch, man. Only going to pull the creeps, as it was blocked, but I believe unblocked. 2 wards of Rev, in fact, used to unblock the camp, so clearly a good ward placement. Meanwhile, the mid-Catwoman falls again, as he gets... Wow, he does eat the ball lightning there, and the keg, plus the turret. Just nothing he can do about that. Turret damage is a little too powerful. Ravener taking a bunch of damage to the tower, but he'll be alright. Has a bottle, and the rune spawns in 20 seconds, so he will take the last sip here, give it to Engineer, plus a health bot, in fact, and be like, here, go, take this to the rune. Get me some mana and health. Bitch. And support just cries. It hurts. They don't love us. It's carries, man. It's so selfish. Topstone Engineer does get the bottle off. It is an illusion rune, so good rune lock there. Ravener continuing a strong CS in the middle lane at 27 and 8. Now second highest CS in the game to Tempest, and just one ahead of Pestilence on top though. So Master of Arms now coming middle, figuring Catlo may need some help in this lane. And Pesty has gotten a pretty sizable advantage up here. He has 2 levels and tons of farm on Hag, 334 GPM compared to just 97, so Pesty should be pretty much completely alright up here. It is looking like he's going for the Alchemist Bones again. So did that in Game 1 in the short lane Pestilence, and now doing it once again in Game 2. Over to the side, Bubble's looking for something, and we'll see this level 5 Rab. He's only level 3 himself, so not doing too well in that suicide roll. 84 GPM, so as bad a time as Hag has been having, Bubbles has been even worse. So developing into a dual lane here in middle, as Hellburner, like, we cannot be losing this as hard as BM. DM DM needs some more support than that. So, getting some in a solid rotation there. And his Drunken actually doesn't even have a bottle, and I wonder if they're going to go for one here at this point. 5.5 minutes in. Eats the Ball Lightning there, and some Storm Blades, plus the Keg Stun, which actually doesn't hit thanks to the stagger, so the turret also missing. Bottle being sipped here, and Health Pot goes off looking for a jump on Master. Won't find him, though, as he's in the trees. Stagger there into Ravener, but he just eats the damage. And DM will clean up some CS with his own stagger, so Bottle's getting completely boxed out of his lane, as Aluna has essentially destroyed his ability to stay here. Of course, Double's one of those heroes that likes levels way more than farms, so this is still an issue for him just because he's not getting levels either. But as soon as he starts to gank, he should be able to get some of that experience back and do fairly well here. I mean, that's why he is a suicide hero. That's why he gets put in that role so often, is because he can have a start like this and recover. Gonna get lane control back here, so he should get some experience pretty much no matter what. He's already Dark Lady's already level 7. He's only level 3. It's painful. Now level 4, so that's nice. Up top, Tree actually, or Ziz falls as the Tempest ultimate comes down locking him, so that's what's going to happen. And it looks like we might see a top push here as Master's coming up as well. And here come the Elementals from Tempest. He's level 7, so he has level 4 Elementals. Bubbles continuing to just sit here as the tower is giving him some experience from the creep kills. Alchemist bonus finished by Pesty there after he chose to go for the boots. And that's interesting because usually people say, you know, you don't buy the gloves first and then the recipe because you want to buy it all at once, and then when it's on the courier flying over, it'll still be having the cooldown going. So this top tower is going to fall. The question is it going to be denied? Haunt there going on to Master and the Keg. Port coming in as well. Glyph of Fortification obviously active, so Master's going to drop here, but the tower dies as well, so focusing him, and as a result they lose the tower. Probably a good trade. They lose 240 gold from Adro, but they get like well more than twice as much as that from the tower being killed instead of denied. Bubbles here just still sitting in the woods. So damn afraid to go up and have Dark Lady see him. She is alone here, so he probably could. I don't think that she could kill him at this point. Even with the Dark Blades, the Taint Soul, and being faster than him, it's he's the Ghost Marchers too, so maybe. I still think it'd be hard to put in enough damage there. Bubbles has 625 health, and TDL hits pretty hard, but I'd be a little surprised if he managed to be silenced for that long. We're over here going to be countered. Master now running away. Ball Lightning not going to hit anything. So once again, towers early in favor of Hellborn as Tempest is on their side. Once again, Ziz falling, this time to a solo Pesty, as he gets a nice score there. So that's some pretty good luck, but solid kill nonetheless. TDL and Aluna once again going to push this tower, and Bubbles like, I'm not going to deal with this at all. Word of Sight goes down as well. Just wants levels at this point, and he's getting them. But I think TDL's farm becoming a bit of an issue. 420 gold per minute, of course, for 50 on Pestilences. He has a couple of kills. And then Alchemist Bone is just going to continue to increase it. So we'll see what route TDL goes for. I think she needs the Cleaver in this game. Bubble's going to get the hell on out of there. Nope. Acting like he would, but instead going to try to pick up a CS or two and get the experience from these creeps. This game has been relatively static so far, 4-2 hero kills in 10 minutes, especially in this mid lane after that aggression came out of DM early. Ball lightning in there is just as I say that. Now DM's going to have to stagger away and he will be fine. Has the haste trip? No, it's just really fast. Energizer on him. That's of course helping. So resources going slightly in favor of Hellborn, mostly because of that Tempest there at 357 gold per minute, as, you know, versus the Aluna or the Engineer, all of a sudden, hey look, it's a jungler. And he's farming pretty well. And once again, a counter ward going out will stop the Hellborn's word of sight now. So no, there were 2 words of sight here, now there are 0. Up top, this lane we're going to get countered by Master. So counter warding all over the place. As Rav will finish his Helm. So going a bit more of the tanky route this game, of course. First game he went the Dawnbringer into the Portal Key. A little more offensive, a little more farm oriented. This game he's feeling a little more defensive, as you know TDL can provide most of the damage. So he does not need to go the farm route. He can instead focus on absorbing damage. Tempest in the bottom lane looking to push a tower. And should have a pretty substantial push going here, as this creep wave will die fast, but Legion are responding to this, bringing 4 heroes over here. Marcus Moy is just going to free farm top, but Rav, Hag, and both supports off to the side as... Excuse me, I gotta get that. Sorry about that, a call coming anyway. Teamfight's brewing over here. Engie going to get caught in the background, and he's going to get taken out by Hop Grata there, killing Energy Field, trying to keep Bubbles alive. He will survive, pops a health pot. And then now turn this on to Hag. Gorproc there as well. Has the blink available. Will be able to get inside. Ball lightning onto Pesty there, but he's not going to die. Shell Surf snipes him out, so well played there from Bubbles. And Rav now in the background in a ton of trouble. He gets the Glacial Blast and the stun from DM. There's the Pesty stun as well, so Boxel falls 3 for nothing, as this is now going to turn into a bottom tower push. So, well played there from Hellborn, and things are going more and more in their favor as all of a sudden Bubbles is level 7. Right up there with Hag, who's level 8, so that's basically what happens. You know, one solid team fight for Bubbles. He's like, I'm going to throw a couple Shell Surfs, I'm going to see his Kelp Field out, and all of a sudden I'll get all my levels back and I'll be totally fine in this game. 180 gold per minute now, just up as the same as Hag as well, so pretty poor start there from Bubbles, but that's what he does. He recovers really fast. So valuable in those team fights, and for ganking, as now both Engie and Hag are down here. They're in a lot of trouble, Engie in particular. Gonna look for the Impel stun here. Will grab Engineer, and he's completely dead. As it was just a fake fallback from Hellborn, and no vision in the woods means that they could not see it. So sorry about that, my phone went off, and I'm expecting I'm trying to get a job here, so I really needed to take that call, and you didn't care, of course, because for you watching this on YouTube, it was not actually any break, it was just a pause and then reset, but I'll stop talking about it now and start to actually talk about the game. So right now, Hellborn are substantially increasing their farm here. Marcus Moy has fallen under 400 gold per minute, and we have Pesty over at over 500, over 400 for Tempest. So 2 heroes here on Hellborn outfarming everybody on Legion. Not usually a good sign, especially considering the push and the team fight is pretty well in their favor. I think if this goes to the late game, the Legion do still have the advantage. Ravener, Hag, and Dark Lady will massively outcarry the Hellborn side, even with all the physical damages coming out. It just becomes too much of an issue. They will provide magical bursts. They'll be pretty damn tanky. They'll be hard to kill with the charging strikes to blink. They'll have strong initiation from Rav. The team fight will be good enough, I think, really, with Bat Blast from Hag, TDL's Darkness, and Engineer Ultimate. So if we start hitting, the hour mark, that could be a pretty big issue. But I think that leaves, 45 minutes in which Hellborn can certainly win this game, and they'll have an advantage for much of it because DM, Pesty, Bubbles, all very strong mid-game heroes, and both TDL and Hag are going to need a lot of farm to get built up. So it's a pretty tall order here for this Legion side, considering how badly they lost the laning phase and how aggressive Hellborn are being, knowing when their timing is, knowing that they need to do stuff now because this is when they're going to be strongest, about right here at the end of the laning phase into the mid game. And they're like, we're going to push towers, we're going to keep team fighting because we know this is our strength, and we don't want your heroes to have the ability to just sit back and rice. So Legion pick off a bot tower, they'll trade that, so that's fine. First tier 1 in the bottom, and Engineer just going to fall. So Hopgrotto picks up another kill. And it is a cleave on TL, and I think she does need that. Off the side, DM trying to chase down Ravener, not going to be nearly fast enough though. And Hellborn are continuing to push mid as they have their entire team here. Tempest Elemental's obviously still available. And we'll see what they choose to do over here. Pesty pulling the wave in, perhaps looking for something to use his Alchemist Bones on. They are on cooldown for another 10 seconds or so. Mid tower here going to get pushed in. The secondary going to fall, as this is the first secondary to go down in favor of Hellborn. And this is a pretty similar game plan to what they had last game. Not quite as strong in the push department, not quite as strong as the team fight, but a similar enough lineup that they can do similar things and be aggressive like this. And this is the right thing to do. So I think very well played from the guys on Ready for a Miracle, realizing what their team is built to do and when they're built to do it, and taking advantage of that. Stacked, easy cabinet cleaned up. Now, Legion are also grouping up a little bit here. Going to try to take down this mid tower, and they can probably do that, because as good as the push is for Hellborn, actually their anti-push is just as good. I was going to say it's not like, nope, Shell Surf, Bubbles, and Master Goo, very powerful. And of course, Legion have pretty much no extra building damage. They do have just generally strong auto attacks, but in terms of, you know, a Torture or a Tempest or a Keeper or something like that, off to the side, Pesty's looking for a jump here, sees Ravener. Going to put the ball lightning onto Pesty. It will take a couple of stuns, so he will be able to get out of there. Keg stun going to go off, and now Angie's in some trouble. Puts the turret down, stopping the portal keys. Shell Surf goes off, not going to be ported to, as it'd be a little too much of a dive. Hellborn team once again grouping up, and perhaps Noah going for a base push. Can they do this? I wonder. Tempest has gone the utility route, so he's, you know, Ring of the Sorcery and Astrolabe over the portal key, so not as much potential, but certainly enough, and Ancients will get cleaned up here by 4 heroes as Tempest comes top. So I think they want to continue team fighting. I don't think they want to push base quite yet, because, you know, they're not really ready for that, I don't think. Last game was a little different just because they had the Keeper Root and the Tempest ultimate. This game they just have the Tempest ultimate, not to mention they only have the Elementals, and last game they had the Dogs and the Elementals. So not quite as powerful in push, not quite as easy to break base this early on. They are instead going to try to push all these tier 2 towers, and that makes a ton of sense, because tier 2 towers they can certainly take. They've demonstrated that already in middle. So we're going to group up here and kill yet another tower, continue to expand their gold lead, allow them to move further and further into this mid game with a larger and larger resource advantage, put more pressure on these carries on Legion, as it looks like Hag is perhaps not going for light brown route, which is very possibly the right decision. The Rune Cleaver Dark Lady is going to take all the farm, so there might not be enough left for her. That is going to hurt their late game a little bit, but it's still probably the right call, especially because at this point, I don't think they can be focused on what's going to happen half an hour from now. I think they're going to have to be focused on the fact that their base is getting pushed. Meanwhile, off the side, Angie gets picked off once again, as there's a Word of Sight just sitting right on top of it, and the bugs with the Impale Stun and a nice score, and it's just death. So Master helping him out, and for some reason, S2, he does not get an assist for that, despite using his ult on Pesty and helping him get that kill. There's no ult, there's no assist involved. I hate that, I really do. Like, Master of Arms should get assists for kills that heroes get if they have his ult on him. Or if they use his ult and it gets used in the attack damage there, because it seems to me like that makes sense, but anyway, this is actually going to be a base tower dead here. Lift goes up, but that's not going to stop it. Secondary tower getting pushed down by Marcus Moy, because for some reason he feels that's more important than killing than defending a base tower. So that's a pretty terrible decision. He has a port. He's running all the way back to base. Going to pick up this rune instead first, as it was just a refreshment. So that's a pretty serious misplay. I mean, they get a secondary tower there, which is nice, and Marcus Moy gets some gold, which is also nice. He has a 450 gold per minute, 380 for Rav. 230 now for Hag, but look at this Hellborn team. They all have strong farm. Even the Master's doing fairly well. And they lost the base tower at less than 20 minutes because Marcus Moy was so focused on pushing that bottom secondary tower. That was a bad decision. He is now going to help clean up this mid wave. Went Abyssal Skull first item. I don't hate that. I think at this point, Shrunken Head is a maybe, just because of all the physical damage coming out from Pesty and Drunken. It's not really going to help you against that, and that is going to be most of the damage. But the lockdown is going to be just as important. The Tempest Ultimate to keep the Kelp Field, and Bubbles of damage, obviously all magic, so I can't really fault going for the Abyssal Skull over a Shrunken here, and he may not ever even want the Shrunken, but we'll see what he goes for next. I think he's going to have to get some tank. Maybe even a Nullstone. I think that, well, with the Pesty Ultimate, that might not be the best move. They do have a lot of single target abilities. I'm thinking mostly because you want to stop that Drunken Initiation, but top tower now going to fall in favor of Legion, so it's good that they're counter pushing a little bit. Kongor in the meantime going to be attempted and should be pretty easily killed by Hellborn. Legion have zero vision of this. They have a ward over here, but that's it. Word of Rev in their own jungle. Only one word of sight on the entire map. Hellborn only have two, very aggressively placed. So actually, if Legion come in here, there's a really good chance they wouldn't see them. But it's not going to matter. Kongor is going to drop here in a couple of seconds. Put a token on the Pesty. Yes. So there's a Kongor kill, and all of a sudden things are going to get much, much easier for Hellborn when it comes to pushing this base. So bottom secondary tower not going to be in a lot of trouble. I think the last tier 2 tower, they're like, let's just kill that. Nope. Nope, we'll head pop. We already have base tower dead there. Let's just take the racks now that we have the token. And that's fine. I mean, both of those options I think are strong. Bottom tower, you'd have to deal. You get an extra tower because killing the tier 2 is not really that big a deal. But then you have to deal with another base tower. Versus up here, and Ravener will portal key off to the side. Glacial Blast will find him though, and he's going to get stunned out here. Ball Lightning going on to Tempest. Going to try to get out of here, but it's not going to happen. He's just dead. Shell Surf goes off, and absolutely screwed. So doing the Ancients there, getting the CS, but pays for it with his life, and now this is going to be a really, really big problem because he does not have a buyback. So this is going to be a free Rex here for Hellborn because Marcus Moy on his own cannot take a 1v5, especially because Tempest Ultimate is still available. Pesty off to the side in the camps, but will be able to join his team very quickly, of course, with the flight and the portal key. And this is just going to be dead racks, and there's nothing that Legion can do about this. There's nothing they're even trying to do about this. Marcus Moy is farming bottom. So they're literally just handing them the racks at this point. So huge pick there onto Ravener. Especially because he does not have a buyback.
A Legion barracks has been destroyed.
And at 22 minutes in, we have yet another Rax killed. So this first game went almost an hour, and these two games are like... Hellborn are so aggressive here. Man, everybody has awful ping, huh? Once again, looking like they're going to push up here. Bubbles cleaning out the CS in the bottom lane, and the rest of the Hellborn team taking out the jungle. Beef's disconnecting for some reason. So maybe he didn't cover the end of this game, I don't know. Regardless, this is looking like a pretty dire situation here for Legion. I mean, it's 25 minutes yet. We already have one Rax down, and Hellborn are not interested in prolonging this game. They know how powerful Legion's late game will be, and they're just like, we're going to win now. Mid tower falls, so that's 3 tier 1s down for the Legion, and a tier 2, so their push actually hasn't been bad. It's just that the Hellborn's has been substantially better. So this last tier 2 here will fall in favor of Hellborn relatively fast. Just gets destroyed. Token still on Pesty for quite a while, 4 minutes. And tier 2 falls in favor of Legion, so they get a nice push going in middle, and that's real nice. Shrunken Head is picked up on TDL, but like I said, that's not sure exactly how much that's going to do. Because there's so much physical damage from Drunken and from Pesty. I can understand they're like, we need to defend, and that's a highly defensive item. But will it matter? I'm not convinced it will. Shield Breaker now on Drunken. He's got the Soul's Bulwark. I mean, there's just going to be a massive amount of negative armor. Ravener jumping here onto the side, onto Drunken. He's going to take a bunch of damage. Manages to get out with the passive armor. Bubbles jumps the hell in, but he's going to get out. So I don't understand when he was going all the way back there, but jumps from both sides, and this base tower has taken a bunch of damage. Hellborn just going to look to reinitiate here, as Drunken takes the Astrolabe and the Drink charges and gets all of his health back. Top lane, of course, continuously pushing in, TDL having to go up there and address it. And this is going to be a dead tower on bot as a result. I mean, they need TDL to be here in order to deal with this push. And now Rax are going to get worked on as Drunken's just sitting in the front line. I mean, Pesty's the one with the token, and Drunken's the one sitting in the middle of the fight at the Rax stand. So ball lane actually going to miss. Drunken now going to lock down Ravener, and Ravener's going to drop Tempest ult in the background, hitting 3. Gets finally stunned out by Illuna. There's going to Scalp Field as well. Energy Field coming out, but that's not going to be mattering too much. Marcus White going to drop here, and I'm just, nope, Illuna falls as well. Buyback on Ravener, but Shrunken Head is up from Pesty, and he's going to put the 4 procs down on top of the Impale Stone, plus the Charge Shot, and the nice kill on the Hag there, as Bubbles comes back in, trying to get the peck on a Rav, not going to happen. So 3 heroes still alive, and there's the G just getting thrown. Pesty going to take a bunch of damage here. So, Game 3 going to go in 25 minutes to Ready for a Miracle, and as a result, they will take the series 2-1. So, a bit of an underwhelming performance from them in Game 1, but in Games 2 and 3, they came back with a vengeance and won both games in about 20-25 minutes with just massively aggressive push strats. So I like the strategy there. I like the application of it, because we've seen too many mid-game strats where the team just doesn't actually do what their lineup is designed to do. They sit there and rice. And if Hellborn had done that, Legion would have been in a much better position. Instead, they had to play defensive. They did not have the capability to do that. And as a result, they lost both games very, very quickly. So strong draft, strong play here from Ready for a Miracle in Games 2 and 3, and they will take the series.